Welcome to another episode of our 1926 Kissel 655 Brougham. This is Trish from D&T TV. This video is about the restoration of the wooden spoke wheel for the Kissel. We'll get to that in just a moment. It wasn't practical for me at the time to shoot any video, so what I did is I grabbed my Android Mini and I took some stills. These pictures show all the steps that it took to get the car ready for the final coat of paint. It was sanded, filled with some glazing putty, and then a primer coat was added. We went over the car again and made sure that we caught all the imperfections. Here, David is sanding it, adding a little more filler and making sure that everything is just right before the final coats are applied. Here, David is spraying the car with a black coat of paint. That makes the Brewster green, the final coat of paint, more deep and requires fewer coats of the Brewster green. And there she is, ready to be rolled back into the garage. This picture was taken Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
I wasn't worried about this area. I mean, it turned out nice, but you didn't have to worry about it because this is where it mounts. It totally covers it up. You can't see up in here, and so you need to paint that black. But that's just brush painting. But I really have all the interior stuff in here. I gotta get some more edging. There's stuff you might want to get to.
That's true. Kind of silly if they just go on and don't come
Slight difference from original. I have got, I have two more of these I'll probably do tonight. I made two of them the other night.
Because you got a lot of other
There's
chrome pieces with black accents on.
Yeah, and there's black accents throughout all this stuff, so I kind of thought, that seems like it'd look really kind of good.
As long as I still had the Android Mini in my hand, I decided I would shoot that video that you just saw of David and Sebastian going over some of the details for the car. I kept it rolling to show you some of the chrome pieces that they were just talking about. I mean, just look at all those details. So many intricate pieces and so much chrome. It's just beautiful. All these things are just waiting to be added to the car. We have headlights, door handles, escutcheons. We even have a Kissel badge that's waiting to be added to the body at just the right time. We're almost there, and we are looking forward to the day when we will be done. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand this video over to David, and he's going to describe in great detail how these gorgeous wheels were restored and painted. Look at that beautiful orange. It's going to look so striking against the green.
This time for something a little different, we're going to show you exactly how we went about doing the wheels. As you can see here, the brake drums have been removed. Those are the original wheels from back in 1926. There's nothing really wrong with the hickory whatsoever. They're actually in very good shape. They just need to have the paint totally removed and be redone. Now you're looking at various conditions and various wheels as to how much paint, etc. we had removed at this point. Both the front and rear wheels are different. They have a slightly different hub setup because of the axles they run on. And you can kind of see that. This is a front wheel, for example. And here you see Trish sanding. It took a tremendous amount of sanding to get all the paint and grime off, as well as a little bit of wear to the wood. Mostly, though, it's removing the paint and finishes that have been on there for almost 100 years. And it's a slow process using multiple different grits of sandpaper and working by hand. There's no automated way to do this. That little pulling on the piece of sandpaper is about as automated as you're ever going to get when you're trying to do these spokes. The Kissel spokes definitely have a neat shape to them, but they're certainly difficult to actually sand. Each of the four wheels had to be done this way and gotten down to the point where there was absolutely nothing left on that wood prior to the actual refinishing process. The metal portion of the wheels is treated differently. As you can see here, I'm getting out some paint stripper. This is just Master Pro Automotive Stripper, sold by O'Reilly. It's something more than an automotive stripper that is sold in their store. A different store will have a different name, but it's still going to be an automotive grade stripper. And here it's being applied, as you notice, only to the metal. A little bit of drip on the wood, but the wood has already been sanded and worked on. We're really mostly after what's on the metal. We didn't want to use this on the wood too much because we didn't want to have to work real hard to get the wood clean. Yes, we still obviously have to do some, but if we used it all over, it would have been far harder than just sanding the wood, because there's a tendency for the stripper to soak in. Here I'm using a Scotch-Brite pad after the strippers had some time to work to scrub off the remainder of the finish from about 100 years ago. And after that's done, each wheel is thoroughly washed with water, and we didn't show you that. It was kind of boring. Here I'm getting ready to put on sanding sealer, and it's the same Varathane sanding sealer that we used when we were doing the windows. It's a water-based sanding sealer. Pretty much what it really is a way of applying talc with a binder to all the wood. And you notice not using a very large brush, but that was a practical way to do it, because again, didn't really want to get it onto the metal, only wanted to get it on all the wood parts. And a very good coat is put on all over. Anything that's missed might get a second coat put on it. And what the sanding sealer will do, besides fill up the pores in the wood and seal it up, it actually helps us get a little smoother surface that we can work with, even though we obviously are going to have to sand it again. It aids in that part of the job. And it took quite a while, as you can see, going around with a little bitty brush doing this, but it's a practical way to do it. Spraying it would not have been practical, because you can even get into all the little grooves that are between the wheels. Now here you see a wheel once it's all been sanded out again after the sanding sealer, and it's put on a rig that I set up to spin the wheel. And as you can see, I'm using nothing but a rod and a couple of bearings made out of pipe and a little metal piece inside, along with a drill. So this is pretty Rube Goldberg, but it worked for spinning the wheels. To control the drill, we're using a variac. That's the variac there. So we're varying the amount of voltage we're actually feeding to the drill, because it's the only way we get it slowed down to where we could actually spin the wheel at the speed we want to. Now, why am I spinning a wheel? I'm spinning a wheel because, as you can see, I'm going to start painting it. Now, in this case, we're using primer from a spray can because it's a practical way to start out painting the wheel. It is not our finish, but it is good to use as a basis to put on the metal. We find that the primer that we are using, which is very good, in a lacquer-based primer that we can get a hold of, works really good on parts once they're primed with an initial coat of a regular primer. Using the lacquer-based primer directly does not work real well. Now what you can see here is, you can see all those little cracks show up, and these are actually very fine cracks. They're not deep cracks, but they're very fine cracks all throughout the wood. And we're going through with Bono's spot and glazing putty and forcing it into all those cracks. After that was done, everything was sanded again. Now you see the finished wheel after it's been sanded and primed, usually about 2-3 times. And we're painting it, spinning it, with the actual orange. The wheels on this car were orange. We had the color matched, and as you can see, we're spinning it when we're painting it. And why do you really do this? Because you don't get runs in your paint anywhere near as likely as if you sprayed it without it spinning. It also lets you get all the different angles that you've got to put on to actually paint the wheels. This particular wheel painting method takes about 3 coats for the orange to come out good. So even though right here you're not going to see 3 coats, ultimately there's about 3 coats actually put on. And it's put on very wet because it's spinning, and it will, as I said, basically not run. So it's a very good system for doing it, and the reason I rigged up a way to spin it. Just for reference, you can kind of tell we did this a couple months ago. It's still pretty warm. Not that it's cold here in Arizona, but it was a lot warmer than it is now. And still painting the wheel, as I said, takes quite a bit of paint and about 3 coats to get it done, and takes a while for that to go on. But as you see, as we progress through it, it gets to look really nice. It gives a really smooth coat. You don't have to go back and hand sand it. You don't end up with any orange peel. And there you have a finished wheel actually put on the car. Still needs its pinstriping. Like and subscribe. See you later.